Thanks for staying with us. With unfinished buildings, flooding rooms, and green diving pools, it seems like the mayhem doesn't end at Rio 2016. Jim, why is Brazil having such a hard time this year?
Funding. I mean, money's been an issue. The economy has been disaster down there. And if you look at the people, I mean, they had riots down there because the government was pulling money away from from sources to take care of the people. And, you know, it's just not good. I mean, look at the buildings down there. The Australians couldn't even flush their toilets. And this past week, the diving
they could,
board,
but the water ran down the wall.
Yeah, and it must have ended up in a diving pool because...
And the one reporter had to turn on a sink faucet in order to take a shower.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But does this go back to when it was awarded that maybe Brazil just wasn't ready to be on the primetime stage like this?
I think Henry just hit it.
He just
hit
nailed it on the head.
I think he hit a home run there.
Yep.
I think the whole Olympic Committee ought to be replaced for the next Olympics.
I absolutely agree.
When
failed.
they, like you said, Henry, when they picked Brazil, I wondered, why did they do that? Why would they go to a country like Brazil to do something that big when there were so many other really good venues that were after it? The committee, I think the whole committee, Olympic Committee, ought to be replaced. They've had their problems with Russia, with the doping problems. Let them in, take them out. You know, everything has changed. What happened one day, the wind was so high, but how do you deal with wind?
Too much wind to row a boat,
Yes.
I think is what the issue was.
Yeah.
They couldn't do the row.
Not to mention the raw sewage that is floating in the human sewage and bones that are floating up on shore. And,
But, all this we knew leading into this
Toxic
back when it was, first quoted on. But was it the pressure to hold an Olympics in the Southern Hemisphere again? Because we had Melbourne back a few Olympics ago, I believe. But I don't believe South Africa they hosted a World Cup, but have never hosted Olympics.
But, a economy has to be strong to hold an Olympics.
But the economy when Brazil
Rio
was awarded this was strong. Brazil was, really leading the Southern Hemisphere.
If you dig through all the corruption down there.
Well, I mean, there's graft in everything, and that was proved with World Cup scandal, and of course some of the scandals we've had with the Olympics.
Is this the end of the Olympics, you think? You think you're still
No.
going after this?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things I did find interesting, though, is coffee, name your brand, was not a sponsor of the Olympics in any form, so you can't get any. There is no such thing as coffee at the Olympics.
Oh my God.
You can have a Coke and a smile.
You can have Coca-Cola products, and that's it, because they are the sponsor.
I heard the other day that a lot of the food vendors didn't come through, and people at the stadiums watching the Olympic Games, the open ceremonies, were starving because there was no food and long lines.
Well, they had a soccer match that they couldn't let the team in to play the match because they lost the key to the gate.
Right.
I mean, come on.
And the Italians in particular brought in their own teams of repair maintenance technicians to fix plumbing problems in the places they were staying. So I thought that was interesting.
I mean, we're dealing with all the negatives. I mean, is Venezuela going to be the next country that's going to be awarded an Olympics because Brazil's sort of setting the bar so low? When we sit back here and we look at things are really tough down in Rio. Athletes are exposed. We're dealing with a Zika outbreak that no one really talked about back when the Olympics was awarded, and it wasn't on the radar screen. We have buildings that are not up to they're up to Brazilian standards. Of course, Brazilian standards don't match the people who are north of them and the people who are across the pond. So, how are we going to deal with it?
There is an organization that oversees the Olympics. That organization has failed miserably in setting this 2016 Summer Olympics. All should be replaced.
But didn't we telegraph that there was an issue with Brazil during the World Cup? I mean, the World Cup was not smooth.
They did.
So we already knew that there was going to be issues. Oh, well, we'll get it fixed. We're going to put some spackle on it, and we're going to put a Band-Aid on it and get through. We already saw. There's only a couple countries in the world that could absorb doing the Olympics in a period of under 2 years. The U.S. is one of them. Probably Russia could be one of them. Great Britain, because they had hosted so recently. But I didn't hear any discussion about real fervent discussion about pulling the plug on Rio.
Aside from the logistics problem, we've had more than our share of problems with athletes as well. The Russian athletes, for example, and all of the scandal around doping was a big issue. So I think, from the standpoint, at least in my history, from scandals and problems with the Olympics, I can't think of even a close second to this one.
Well, then we had the issue with the Lebanese team and the Israeli team and the bus. We had another situation that a Saudi Arabian jiu-jitsu athlete decided that they were going to toss their match so they wouldn't have to face an Israeli in the next round. We've gotten so far away what the principle behind the refounding of the Olympics were, which was about bringing the nations together for sports. This wasn't supposed to be about politics and who's going to carry the American flag in. This wasn't to be about someone wearing a headscarf. This is about people going out, enjoying athletic activities, and bringing the world together as one.
Yep. You're absolutely right. You
They
nailed it
have
on the head.
not done so well on that, from my perspective.
And the headscarf thing, yes, that has made spotlight.
So, all right.
Ron, any thoughts? You're speechless.
I'm not speechless on this particular issue. The whole world right now, the politics that's played in it, the different religions that begin to be crucified, how we're dealing with an election on fear and hatred. We promoted in this country every day hatred. We will never, ever come together if we can't get hatred out of I would never begin to call somebody crooked. I would never begin to call you a liar. That's not the way we deal with issues. We have to be civil. We have to show some civility in the entire world today.
Well, Ron, I appreciate that. And on the Olympics, I would like to see us come back and focus on sportsmanship. But next up on the flip side, we'll discuss Maryland's tax-free week. We'll be back in 3 minutes.